What's up, guys? Welcome to Things That Fun. I am John, and this channel is about some of the fun things I do in my off time. One of which is driving my Lotus Esprit. I have a 94 Lotus Esprit S4. Unfortunately, at the moment, it's broken down. I just found out yesterday that I have a blown head gasket. Interestingly enough, yesterday was March 15th, the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March. So I've pretty much confirmed it. Looks like it's leaking coolant into cylinder 1. So I've got to order some parts, and then I'm going to start the teardown today. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm not removing the engine. I've removed the engine before for a rebuild, but I'm not going to do it for this. It's a little tight. The engine bay of the Esprit is kind of tight, but I'm pretty sure it'll be fine doing it without removing the engine. I'm estimating 4 or 5 hours tear down, an hour or so replacing, and another 4 or 5 installing everything back, unless something comes up, some unforeseen issue. I might do a few other things while I've got the head off. Not really sure yet though. So anyway, I've got to go home and order some parts. I just got my caffeine fix here at Starbucks, and I'm ready to go home and order some parts and get started on the teardown. So, we'll see you in a few. So parts are ordered. I just got off the phone with JAE, talked to Joe there, and I have a full gasket set coming. It includes the head gasket, their uprated head gasket, as well as all the other gaskets I'll need for the intake, exhaust, and all that. After pulling the head. I ordered a thermostat as well. Also a new timing belt, the blue Gates belt. Not sure if I'm going to replace it yet. I want to look at what condition this one's in. I think it's fine, but I want to have a belt on hand just in case. And I may replace it. Belt's 5 years old, maybe 5,000 miles on it. Just not sure about that yet. One thing I wasn't sure about was the head bolts. Joe at JE recommended to swap out the factory head bolts for studs, and they sell us sets. It's mid $200 range for it. But looking at some of the old build pics, here I'll put up a picture of one of the build pics I'm looking at. It shows studs installed already. So I've got an email to the builder that built the engine. Wait to hear back from him. So those should be fine. I just I want to get confirmation from him what studs those are. Joe didn't think those look like the ones they sell. My old invoice from the parts from the rebuild didn't show studs from them, so I just wanted to make sure. And also, the studs require a different torque spec than the head bolts do. So I want to find out what torque to use on those. If I can use the ones that the same specs that JE sets for theirs, or if these are different and require a different one. So again, I'm waiting to hear from the builder of the engine on what studs those are and what torque setting. So man, not looking forward to doing all this, but I'm not so worried about the actual pulling the head off itself and replacing the gasket. It's just everything that's got to go before that. So I need to get into my work clothes and head out there and start this monster. So here we go. Alright, so let's get started, and just got some parts in the mail. Yeah, so like 2 days ago I ordered some parts. I removed the rear wing, and I was going to put a different, wanted to add a third brake light that actually flashes. It's really cool. It flashes. You set it up where the harder you decelerate, it strobes faster for a certain amount of time. It's got 2 settings, and it's pretty cool. So I just ordered some parts for that, and those are coming in. Unfortunately, that's going to have to wait a little while. Now they have this other massive project to deal with. So anyway. First thing I'm going to do is set up my space correctly. One thing I found when I did my engine pull is it's really nice to have the space you need to put parts and not be cluttered and be stepping over stuff. So I don't have much room in my garage with both vehicles in there, but I'm going to use my cargo trailer. I've got a table set up in there, so I am going to use that to house all the parts that I take off. Just should make it much easier. I don't want it here under my feet and everything. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'll give you an overview real quick of what the process is going to entail. Basically, I'm going to pull out the trunk boot panels to get better access to the engine. I've done this before. It's not that bad. There's some wiring that's kind of a pain because a lot of relays and stuff behind the amplifier there. But I'm going to pull that out, and that'll give me access to the turbo and the exhaust. I'll start pulling that out after I get the panel off. I did find out from somebody on the forum that I really did not want to pull the engine, and I was told, yeah, you can do this without pulling the engine, but you might have clearance issues. Some people say you got to pull the engine, others are saying nope. And one of the guys that's saying no, you don't need to. He's actually done this himself. He's a really well-known member on the forum, so I take him at his word that I can get it off without pulling the engine. But my biggest concern was the one thing I'm looking the least forward to is pulling the header off, the exhaust manifold. I don't know if you can see it down there, but it is a pain to get to the nuts. I mean, like there's a couple of them you can only turn like a tenth of a turn at a time, and it's just because of the angle and the way you get the wrench on there. So I was hoping I could pull the head with the exhaust manifold on, but with the clearance issues, I was kind of thinking not going to happen. A member responded, thank you very much, and said, hey, if I just remove this side engine bolt, I can lift up this engine up enough, tilted enough to get the head off with the exhaust manifold still attached. So that's the plan. I really, really don't want to have to pull that manifold off. So that's the plan. Everything else is going to be pretty straightforward. It's really not a whole lot I have to get to worry about taking off. It's just going to be time consuming and to do it meticulously. So that's the plan. So let me get started with at least getting the panels off and get access to everything. All right, quick update. So I did find out that the head studs that are installed are the factory upgraded studs, but it's not recommended to use them over and over. They've already been used once in the initial build, and then when it was rebuilt not long ago, a few years back. So because of the stretch that happens with them, it's recommended to replace them. So I just ordered the APC upgraded stud kit, head stud kit from JE. So that added a good bit of cost to the bill or to the repair, but I don't want to do this again. So they're on order. Now, back to work. And getting that panel out was trickier than I remembered. Some of these cables are kind of tough to get through the opening in the panel and stuff. But it's out, and you can see that gives me a lot more room to work. Easy access to everything. Give me a chance to clean a lot of this up as well and inspect a lot of other things. So work continues. Well, it's kind of slow going. It was a pain in the butt to get the radiator hose loose so I could drain the fluid. Got that done, and now I'm setting to top dead center. And I got to get under the car to turn the crank so I can't see what the flywheel's showing. So I used a little wireless camera that I had, fly RC airplanes and drones, and I set it up so it's pointing at the flywheel here, and I had this monitor underneath that I could watch it and know when I got to top dead center. So it's top dead center, and the cam dots line up, so that's good. And this is just in case I am going to change the belt. I'll have it already set up correctly, and if anything happens, I know that it's set correctly and is already top dead center. I won't have to screw around with that later. So that's done. I'll pull the turbo off next. Alright, well, it's been a long day. I've actually finished and cleaned everything up for the day and taken a shower and gotten something to eat. It was interesting. The smallest things that you think would be easy to do ends up taking the most time. Just getting the radiator hose off to drain the coolant was a pain in the butt, just because the way the banjo clamp was on there was not lined up right for the hole to get the screwdriver in there, so I had to actually widen the hole. And then when I went to put it back on there, it was just as much of a pain, but it got done. The biggest goof of the day was when I pulled the cam towers off. I didn't realize that the followers and the shims would just fall out, so they're all mixed up. So I'm gonna have to learn how to set the valve lash and clearance and tolerances on it. Probably have to order some shims, maybe an extra tool or two, but live and learn, I guess. I did find a tip after that said, hey, put magnets on the followers before you pull the cam tower off, and it'll hold everything together. Wish I'd have known that tip before I pulled them out, but otherwise, everything is going pretty good. I've got the cam towers off, the turbo off. Tomorrow I will be removing the intake and the head bolts and pulling the head off. I did notice that the coolant was really oily, so it's definitely got oil in it, in the coolant, so I might end up flushing the whole system as well before I fill it back up. But otherwise, I didn't have to make any runs to get any tools or anything like that. I had pretty much everything I needed. My parts will be here. Today's Friday. They'll be here Wednesday, so it gives me a few days to get caught up and do some cleaning. Maybe a couple little other touch-up things in the engine bay while I'm in there. So tomorrow's supposed to be rainy and a little bit cooler, so I'll definitely have the garage closed up and be here tomorrow. Getting the head off. So that'll be the next episode. See you then.